Hello and welcome to this mindfulness video on behalf of the Stuart Low Trust. My name is Katie. Thank you for joining me today. So today we are going to be talking about mindfulness and the connection with food and eating. And just to begin by taking a very quick recap on what mindfulness is, it basically means being aware of the present moment without judgment. Or coming to our senses is another good way of putting it. And when we're eating or drinking, we do use a lot of our senses. So how bringing mindfulness to eating can help us to nourish our bodies and minds. Now, food is quite a complex subject, and it's obviously linked to emotion for a lot of people. We're not going to go too deeply into that today. We're just going to talk about how bringing your awareness to what you're eating and how you're eating it can really be beneficial. So most of us, when we eat, don't eat mindfully. We might be kind of rushing the starter to get to the main course and then rushing the main course to get to the dessert, and we kind of live our lives a little bit like this sometimes, and we're often distracted by things when we're eating. We might see it as a chore that needs to be rushed before we get to something a bit more interesting. And sometimes we're just, watching TV at the same time, or we might be thinking about other things. We might be going over the past, or we might be kind of planning or worrying about the future and things that haven't happened yet. And all of those things are basically thoughts. And thoughts can be very distracting. And we kind of forget to put our minds where our bodies are. We forget to actually eat what's in front of us and to really pay attention to that, and really pay attention to our senses in the moment. So, and also the effects of that can be that we end up with indigestion because we eat too quickly. We're not paying attention to what we're eating. But it can really diminish our enjoyment of our food. And it can also lead us to making some perhaps unhealthier choices when we're not really mindful of the effects that those foods are having on us. So one of the classic mindfulness exercises is to eat a raisin mindfully. And today I think we'll do it with a satsuma instead, just because I find it a little bit more sensory. So if you have a satsuma or something similar, lying around, fantastic. We can do that. Try and do that together. If you don't, then maybe whatever you have to hand, the more natural the better. But whatever you have, just bringing your awareness to it and eating it mindfully, and just being curious about what happens when we do that. So the raisin eating exercise is something I used to do a lot when I first started teaching mindfulness. And I do remember people saying that they were very surprised by the exercise, that they thought, raisins, take them or leave them. But actually when they ate a raisin mindfully, it was the most delicious raisin that they'd ever tasted. And obviously those raisins were not any different to any other raisins. It's just that the quality of our attention had turned it into a more nourishing experience and a more enjoyable experience. So when we eat mindfully, we pay attention to our senses. So we really notice how our food looks. We really notice the textures and the colours. We notice how it smells. And our reactions to it. Are we salivating? Our thoughts about the food, and we really take time to chew and taste our food properly. And slowing down can really have a huge impact on our digestive system. It can really help things like indigestion, any sort of stomach problems, and also, as I say, it can help us to enjoy it more. And also, the more we slow down, the more we pay attention to what we eat, we actually tend to eat less. And we actually tend to eat healthier naturally. because we're really paying attention to the effects that foods have on our body. So for instance, if we notice the difference between eating a chocolate bar and, say, a piece of fruit, we will notice that the chocolate maybe has different effects afterwards, and it's kind of just different effects on our energy and how we feel emotionally. And again, it's just about being curious. That's what mindfulness is. So the more we pay attention to what we eat and how it affects us, it puts us in a more powerful position to make healthy choices, so that we're kind of listening to our bodies more and being more in balance with how we feel. So we are going to be doing a short meditation very soon. I'm going to ask you to pause the video so you can get some food. Just a couple of quotes before we go into that. So Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, talks a lot about mindfulness and writes a lot about mindfulness. He said, "Drink your tea slowly and reverently, as if it is the axis on which the world earth revolves. Slowly, evenly, without rushing towards the future. Live the actual moment. Only this moment is life." And he's talking about drinking tea there, and drinking tea mindfully, and also preparing tea. The whole ritual of preparing tea can be quite a mindful experience. So you can bring that mindfulness to anything that you're doing, really, and food is a very good thing. Excuse me. And just one little Zen joke that I've said before, but I think it's quite a good one, about listening to our bodies. One Zen student said, "My teacher is the best. He can go days without eating." The second said, "My teacher has so much self-control, he can go days without sleep." The third said, "My teacher is so wise that he eats when he's hungry and sleeps when he's tired." So yes, it's a good reminder to listen to our bodies, and pay attention to that and be mindful with what we're doing. So I hope that you enjoy the meditation today. I will ask you to pause this video and see you again shortly. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to this mindfulness video. Today we've been talking about food and nourishment and how mindfulness can enhance our enjoyment and experience of eating. So I hope that you've got something to eat with me. I'm not going to actually eat it in front of you because I don't want to talk when my mouth's full, but I will kind of talk you through the process of eating mindfully, which hopefully involve our senses. So this is my satsuma, or tangerine, I'm not quite sure what the difference is. So I'm going to show it to you. I'm just going to focus on this satsuma. So I'm going to begin by just noticing the surface of the skin, the colour and the texture, the different marks on the surface. I'm going to run my hands over it, feel the texture and the little bumps and dents and different textures. I'm going to smell it. Doesn't smell of much. See how that might alter as I peel it. I'm going to put my thumb, listen to it. Listen to the sound of the peel. Look at the flesh. And now the smell. It's very different. And you can notice your thoughts and your feelings about your experience as well as your experience. Noticing the difference in the texture. Noticing my desire to want to eat it. Listen to the sound it makes. Getting more wafts of it. Could even just take a moment to appreciate the uniqueness of this particular satsuma. Remember that it's grown from a tiny seed. In the sunshine and the rain. And there's my judgment. I think that's a nice smell. And just breaking off a segment. I don't know if you can hear that. Just looking at the inside of the satsuma, each individual segment, and the uniqueness of each individual segment as well. I'm just separating one segment off. Noticing the flesh inside the fruit. Almost as if you've never seen one before, you don't know what it is. And if you have one with you, or if you have a piece of food with you, I want you to see if you can just sit with any desire you have to eat it. Notice how that feels. Again, noticing texture of the flesh as you run your hands over it, your fingers, your thumb. Noticing the colours within the colour. And if you want to, you can just place it inside your mouth and see if you can just hold it there. Just for a short while without chewing, and see if you can resist that. Maybe you can't. And just noticing how it feels when you do bite down on it. Noticing if the flavour changes. Noticing any feeling of moisture. See if you can just experience that without labelling it, without judging it. Being with the sensations, coming to your senses. And just seeing if you can chew slowly and thoroughly. If you want another segment or whatever it is you're eating, another one, so you can do it more slowly, that's fine. It's all about curiosity, paying attention. And when you swallow the food, see if you can do that slowly, having chewed it thoroughly. See if you can take a moment before you take the next bite or the next segment or whatever it is. So that you're slowing down and you're really paying attention. And really getting the full nourishment from what you're eating. And noticing it's more satisfying than it might normally be to eat whatever you're eating. Noticing if you're just frustrated and you just want to eat it quickly because it's nice. Just noticing. Allowing your senses just to bring you back to the present moment over and over again. Slowing down, paying attention. Noticing each moment. I hope you enjoyed eating your satsuma or whatever you've been eating with me. I hope that this will kind of plant some seeds of mindfulness that you are able to water or cultivate. And the next meal you eat, maybe you could just pay a little bit more attention to what you're eating and how you're eating it. And remember to give it your whole attention, knowing that you will get more out of it the more attention that you put in. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me again today. Just a reminder, please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to. It's Kate Relax Mindfulness. Please check out the SLT website, slt.org.uk, and please join me again next time, and stay safe and well. Enjoy your food. Thanks.